Hello again and welcome back to the Daily Rundown with me, Dan Morfitt. Allergy UK is a 25-year-old charity that supports allergy sufferers. They say that despite greater awareness, common misconceptions still remain as strong as they were a quarter of a century ago. Half of sufferers feel that their allergies have not been taken seriously, and so the damning statistics launched this year's Allergy Awareness Week. So let's have a look at this video first.
I get really worried when I go out because I may have to put my life in someone else's hands.
Until the age of 38, I was afraid and worried to learn driving because I thought I'll be a risk to my life.
My PE teacher used to force us to go swimming and I was absolutely terrified.
The emotional consequences of having this condition is huge. It affects people's daily lives in so many different ways, and the emotional impact can be absolutely enormous.
I do have urticaria, plus the cold urticaria. It was absolutely horrendous because if I did any exercise, I got too hot and the hives covered my complete body and legs. If I did anything cold, I'd immediately get hives. Now, at my time of life, it's fear. I am absolutely petrified of being cold.
Because of hay fever, I kind of did not even take up to driving. I thought it was a risk to both myself and to people who will be around me while I drive. Having an allergy attack, you take 2 seconds off the road, anything can happen.
My main allergy is suffer from peanuts and common nuts. At a young age, it got really bad to the point where my face got an infection on it. I found it tough to go out, thinking that people might look at me differently. I had to take a lot of time off work and college, and it affected my confidence massively.
This year is Allergy UK's 25th anniversary, and we've seen some huge improvements in diagnosis and support available. But our research shows that actually 40% of people in the UK still feel there is a stigma against this condition.
I have encountered people that think it's a joke. Someone was jokingly threatening to throw peanuts at me and see what happened, but some people just don't understand the consequences of it.
Well, emotionally, I always thought, I'm so hideous, nobody will want me as a friend. I used to get very frightened that I would never get married.
When I'm on my own and I have to depend on other people to save my life, it's quite scary. That thought of not knowing who it could be is quite worrying.
Although public awareness has improved over the last 25 years, Allergy Awareness Week aims to improve that knowledge for people out there, both with allergy and for those that need to have their knowledge improved.
Starting off Allergy Awareness Week though with a video from Allergy UK celebrating their 25 years. I'm really aware of allergies myself. Because like Kamesh in the video, I still do suffer from severe hay fever. And when people say, oh, you got hay fever? Oh, I get hay fever as well. It's fine. But when your whole nose, your eyes, your chest tightens, severe rhinitis as I had to be eventually solved and treated by immunology. I had a blood test and it broke down my blood into proteins and saw what I was allergic to. And for want of a better phrase, I was allergic off the charts to Timothy grass, which is our normal grass in the UK, and also London plane trees, which people think, what, London plane trees? It's basically every tree that you find down an avenue in a park. And my hay fever knocked me out and gave me flu-like symptoms for most summers. I got treated.
What, the whole summer or just a part of it?
Mainly the whole summer. I used to be a very severely allergic to treegrass pollen from about March all the way through to August, September. And I got immunology through a local consultant. And I was given a tablet that cost about £30, every individual tablet, of very high concentrates of grass. And that sort of got it in check. So when I see a video like that, I really know how allergies can affect you and affect you.
You're not arguing for the legalisation of grass now, are you?
No, it's a different type of grass.
Yeah.
But I completely
what's
understand.
amazing is that there is such a high level of misconception and misunderstanding about it, when actually huge numbers of us in this country either suffer it from ourselves, or we are in a family or have close friends who suffer from that problem, and it is quite weird.
41% of people in the UK suffer from allergies. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I have people in my family and in close friends who are allergic to things like aspirin and dust mites and mushrooms, you know, and lactose intolerance and lots of things that are very common. And you know, why is it we still don't get it?
It's not taken as an illness. It's just, oh, you can't have that, shame. Or, well, that doesn't affect you that badly.
Almost as if it's like a sort of choice of fad.
Yeah. Drew, have you got any experience of allergies yourself, or maybe?
I'm pretty lucky, especially when you said 41%. I found that quite astonishing. I know a lot of people who have asthma, and I think the issues with maybe the word allergies been slightly overused now, and people don't realise the seriousness of it. Maybe you need a more serious, stronger word, because you think allergy, you do think, oh, you sniff a bit, their eyes stream, or can't eat nuts, and I don't think people are aware how much all these things are actually potentially life-threatening, and that film is pretty telling, especially that old woman who's terrified to go into maybe her next stage of life and thinking what on earth's going to happen to her, because especially living in the UK with the cold and the weather. And I think, people that are lucky enough to not suffer probably are not really taking it as seriously, or I think they're malingering, or a hypochondriac, or all these things. But I mean, I've got some friends who discovered they had asthma later on in their life. It's one of those things that you can still get it later in your life. You don't have to be born with it. And the trouble that they've had to actually get it diagnosed, I think it's back to the old, the NHS can't cope with all these things, but they can't. And sounds like you had a good doctor and a good service in place to work it out. There are loads of people going around who are probably still waiting to see even one consultant, one specialist about allergies and things. And it sounds like it's a growing problem. We really can't meet the demand.
I think the irony with my story is my doctor wasn't very understanding. He was saying, it's just hay fever, you have to manage it. My nurse in the same surgery was quite clued up about it. She had severe hay fever. She'd recognised my symptoms and said, you can actually have a blood test that will, zero in on what gives you the hay fever. It's not just hay fever, it's not just oilseed rape in the fields. You can be allergic to something very specific. My hay fever could have been caused by dust mites, but they zeroed in on what it was and they could treat it. And I think that's what we're talking about, the misconceptions. And I think that's what Allergy UK are trying to do, to show that, if people have, say, puffy eyes in June time, it's not just, hay fever is not something that you can just take a tablet with. It does affect mind and body. The irony is the person that was going to talk to us tonight about her allergies and her asthma isn't with us tonight because she's had an ill turn. Really?
And she has an anaphylaxis or something like that?
I think so,
because that's the serious end of it, isn't it? And certainly in my house, we've had antihistamines available to treat that kind of situation for a long time. And, I think it is serious. Yeah.
It's very scary when you see someone having an asthma attack because you think, God, it looks pretty severe. I remember going out for a long walk with a friend and she'd forgotten to take her inhaler with her. And as we got, it was only maybe 5-10 minutes away from where we were going to end up where our inhaler was. She just couldn't go any further. And I had to run ahead and get the thing for her and race back with it for her. And it's things like that. And another friend who, as I say, was diagnosed with asthma much later on, she's had appalling problems because it's very difficult to find the right type of inhaler for your type of asthma. I thought asthma was asthma, and it clearly isn't.
There's so many specific types.
And until they find the right one, she has to keep on suffering quite severely. And there's been a couple of times when she has actually been rushed to hospital because it's just all got too much again. They've had to try something else.
But inhalers have helped a lot of people, though.
And they progressed in their technology so much over the last 20 years. I think with Allergy Awareness Week, starting this week, we might be looking at it again on the Daily Rundown later on. What allergy is your own body fighting you. And that's possibly the hardest thing. You know, whether you've got food allergies, you've got skin allergies and eczema comes up, or things like psoriasis. It's the body fighting itself. Yes. It's not as if you've caught it from someone.
Eczema and urticaria are very serious. You know, they're life-destroying stuff.
But that treatment only comes if people are aware that it's there.
I think that's just, the treatment's probably very, very good, but it's getting the diagnosis in the first place that seems to be the problem and the hold-up. You think, I remember years ago, I can't remember what it was, but they used to put these sort of little foil patches on your back with little things in the small circular points of grass and all these sort of things.
Skin prick testing.
And see which little, if anything came up in a little sort of red lump on your back.
Is that similar to what you had?
No, I like to think we've moved on since then.
Oh, right, you had a blood test.
I had a blood test. I think they were looking for a specific IgE, which is like a protein, I think, in there. But yeah, like skin prick testing still exists, so they put a bit of egg yolk on you and a bit of egg white and grass, and that's still used by lots of people. I was fortunate enough to have a blood test, so it showed that I thought maybe it gets riled when I go near cats and dogs. But I showed
some people are allergic to cats and dogs and animals. Yeah.
I didn't realise people who do have allergies to cats and dogs, it's not necessarily the cats and dogs, it's the cats when they lick themselves, and the proteins from their saliva is in the air.
Dear,
and once you start reading and learning about this, you actually look at people who say, I've got an allergy, and are rather less shrugging and just going, oh really, you've got an allergy. You actually think, actually it's quite serious. You're getting a raw deal here, and hopefully people, if they're aware of it, can get the proper diagnosis and then the proper treatment.
I think I'm very lucky not to be allergic to any of these things, apart from certain types of politics. I would say I'm pretty...
I'm allergic to Adele, if that helps.
Well, she's fine. She's got 85 million.
Exactly, so she's not going to worry. She could pay for my treatment, but that's all.
Well, hopefully, touch wood, you don't need anything treated as yet.
I'm very lucky,
More about Allergy Awareness Week, possibly throughout the week with Allergy UK here on the Daily Rundown. Thanks for that, gentlemen. After the break, we get serious. Guy and Drew have the chance to get something off of their chests. They'll be back with something to say on the Daily Rundown in just a couple of minutes' time.